Hello and welcome to the Tower of God video. Today we'll be talking about should you summon and review for Hellgel packed into one. Like always, before I get into the grid of things, I will let you know whether you should summon or not. The answer is no, don't summon on him. If you are free to play and you're saving your black market tickets, keep saving them. He is a very strong unit and obviously he'll bring value. He's a very good unit, but he's not a unit that you must have. Right? If I were you, you're better off summoning for someone like Hugo if you really want to spend your black market tickets. Reason being is because for one, he is limited to purple team. You can use him in other teams, but he shines in purple team because of his passive. And second of all, he doesn't really solve the issue that purple team has. Purple team doesn't really need a damage dealing unit. They need a unit that can bring the team together because purple team is very all in or you die. There's no in between. There's literally no in between. You either come up and you instantly like destroy the team or your team dies. This guy is very squishy and his gimmick is based on HP and he doesn't have lots of survivability unless if he gets help. So this guy is strong, very, very strong. He will bring value to your team based on a must-have unit. I would just save for the next. Just save basically, right? If you're looking for Hockney real quick, I don't really, Hockney is so good, they don't really need a review off of him. But Hockney, yeah, summon for this guy. He is broken. He is broken. Maybe I'll do another video for him, but if you're talking about Hockney, Hockney's great. Summon for him. But either way, let's go back to the review and this character and how good he is and my opinions off of him. But like I said before, there's two things I think you need to know about Hellgel. Specifically, one is that he is mostly for purple, and his gimmick is his ult. He's a very simple character. Ult and HP. That's all that matters about him. Everything else doesn't really matter. If you look bare bone off his kit, his two skills aren't really impacting as much as you think they are, but his passive and his ult is where he kind of becomes really good. His whole gimmick is his ult just clears the field. And what I mean by clears the field, I mean clears the field. I think outside of Gustan, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he does the most damage. Outside of like family head gusting, I think he does more damage than Hugo. He does more damage than Doan. He's just that strong in terms of damage, but he dies very, very quickly, which is why I'm saying he doesn't really like help the purple team as much as you think he does. You can either replace him with white, the impact will be the same, essentially, right? So yes. Either way, let's look at his kit instead of just babbling around about like his mechanics and stuff. So his passive is Red Thresher Strength. Basically, he increases HP and attack based on how much purple are in the team, excluding him, but excluding being. So like they're talking about Gustan, because Gustan can have summon beings, so those beings won't count, right? Those little like little machine doesn't count as a buff to him, and the enemies that get hit by Joe gets the defense decreased. Which is one of the reasons why he hits so hard, right? Because of that part of his passive, and that's only for like 8 seconds, right? It's only for 8 seconds, and the swift decrease is also for 8 seconds. Also, he's invincible when he gets hit by the when he gets out of control, and then he heals. After he heals, he will slowly lose HP, which is what I mean by like the HP mechanic, right? So the more HP after he gets field damage, he'll heal up then until he dies, right? Which is why it's very important for him to keep constant healing with him, right? Anyways, that's the passive, right? So he does more damage to enemies. He has this invincibility thing that's kind of like bombs, and yeah, okay. Anyways, his ult will teleport where there's a bunch of enemies, okay? Then he'll do a bunch of damage, and then he'll do a last explosion with even more damage, and then yes, and then basically the last hit will do an additional damage based on how much HP has been lost. So basically, doing the reason why it's important is because at the beginning of the ult, they'll lose a bunch of HP, so that HP that's different will be added extra on the final hit, which is kind of crazy. And then he also recovers HP, right? And after that, he goes back to the back, and then he continues doing whatever he needs to do, and he becomes immune to status effects. Very, very strong, right? This is the meat of his ability, right? You want his ult with his passive of decreasing defense and swiftness on top of this as well, just will make him do a stupid amount of damage, right? And then if you look at his revolution here for the passive, right, it increased the debuff increased for 4 seconds, and then it also decreases with the physical resistance. So physical resistance decrease, we have defense decrease. Already that's very, very strong. And then also included with the extra buff added to how much HP they lost on the ult is going to do a stupid amount of damage. And by stupid I mean, if this is how much damage White does, and this is how much damage Hugo does, because Hugo does more damage than White, I think, a lot of the case. Helljoe's is like up here, like 3, 4, 5 times more than Hugo and White. It's actually kind of crazy, right? And then if you look at his ult revolution, it always lands. That's great. And also he has this like invincible, the same thing as Data Mashni and Asensio, where like he's basically invincible. Like he can go past 1 HP, which is good because that just helps him heal more. Anyways, okay, so you have 2 of his skills here. Zero Zone is like a little circle, like a little area, and then they basically stop people from healing and decrease the swiftness, which is really good because you also decrease swiftness with his passive as well too. So if you combo those 2 together, the enemies can't really move that much, which helps with his ult, right? And then also with his Weak Bean, he shoots them, knocks them back, which is, I love knockback abilities. And then decreases, yeah, also he has this thing that like, if he has more HP than the enemy, he does more damage. If he has less HP than the enemy, then he heals. So basically, the harder the enemy, it just makes him heal more, which is good because if the enemy is stronger and they hit you really hard, that will proc the passive of the proc the passive, which will heal him regardless, right? So he's basically based. So all this is to say is that he basically does a stupid amount of damage with his ult, and then he also dies very quickly because of his passive. But he has a bunch of healing mechanics to keep him going upwards, right? So you maybe think to yourself, okay, well, he does have this nerf on his passive, but he does heal a lot quickly. So what do you mean he has no survivability? Well, he has no survivability because he has no really defensive buffs, and he doesn't have any physical and magical resistances on him. His only defense and his invincibility is not as good as like White's or as Hugo's. So yes, he's got some sort of survivability mechanic, but it's not nearly as strong, and he can die very, very quickly if you don't build him right or if you get very unlucky. But in the purple team, he's very strong. He's just not a needed unit. So if you look at his ignition weapons, I don't know why I went to growth, but okay, I know this is a troll. I know this is a troll, but you gotta listen to me. Okay. Bergamo is actually very good. I've been killing it with Bergamo. I know no one likes the set. It sucks. I know it sucks. You don't gotta tell me it sucks. I already know it sucks. But honestly, if there's any unit that's been released recently that will work with this unit, it's this set. It's this unit because of the life. First of all, lifesteal is really good because after the passive procs and he survives and he's losing HP, you have a little bit of insurance with his lifesteal to increase up, right? Which is good. Right. Also, when his HP reaches under a certain threshold, the set heals him. So essentially, the strat for this character, or the reason why I picked this set, is that okay, he'll do his ult, he'll decrease HP, and then his passive will proc, right, after the first fill of damage, and then he will heal up again. Then he'll slowly start decreasing again, and then the Bergamo set will heal him up again. Ideally, so that he survives as long as possible. With this set, he's actually very flexible. I think he's a lot more flexible than you think. If you don't want him as a main DPS, you could always do the Barry set. But the thing with the Barry set with him though is that it kind of overlaps with his passive and his and Barry's invincibility set, because what if you decide to use your passive and then instead of the Barry set, so now you just wasted the Barry set, right? And then because the HP decreases and the Barry set is based on HP thresholds, there'll be times when like you will just activate the Barry set where you didn't need to because of the passive, right? Let's say it didn't heal long enough. So there's that. There's also like you can also use the idea set, because the idea set is based on ults, because this character is based on how strong his ult does. So having the idea set to spam his ult several times is actually a pretty good idea. You can also use the L set too because he's further away. L set's very good for ranged unit. He's a ranged unit. Apart from when he teleports forward to do his active skills and whatever. You could technically also use Alokezia's set, but he is a long range unit, right? So I guess when he comes in close and he decides to teleport in and he gets a few evades, that will make him a lot stronger. But I'm not really sure about that one, right? Those will be my sets I would personally do. You could always do Sundance because he's a physical unit, but his basic attacks don't really matter, bro. So you don't gotta really use Sundance on him. Yeah, a bit disappointed he didn't have any energy decrease because we could probably use the Mago set. Teams that he goes really well with would be the new David, actually, because he's a physical unit and him and the David works really well, especially if you have David max revolution because he buffs defense too. And this guy needs buffs, so the more buffs he gives to him, the better. I would say he works well with Hockney, but everybody works good with Hockney. But Hockney's a purple is a blue unit, so you know he's not a purple unit. In terms of revolution for this guy, he's a mage unit, so the usual, you know, accuracy, critical damage increase, critical rate, attack, a special move damage increase. That's actually very, very important because he has special move damage increase on his ult. I think I'm not sure if it's ult or his passive. Let me see. Is it his passive? One of them he has special damage increase. I'm blanking out, but he has that special damage increase to one of his ult or passives. So adding those together is very, very, very good. In terms of like the way that how useful he is in a match, I'll just put him up on like I did like always. I'll set this team up in here, and I'll do it like this. The way that so the way that I think this character is supposed to be played is that he's supposed to have his let's look at his passive specifically, right? I think the way that he's supposed to be used is that he is supposed to be able to use this move first and then these moves after, like cohesively, right? But the thing is, when the game starts, normally the ult starts straight away. So that the first time that he appears in the game, the ult is the first thing that happens when you rainbow him, instead of this passive skill, right? Which is strange because those two are definitely meant to be used together. I mean, later throughout the game, like throughout the round, this move will happen first and the ult will happen after. But it's very strange, right? Because it says here, Helljo summons the 0 zone above the area where the enemies are concentrated for 5 seconds, dealing this amount of damage. The wording is the same here. Teleport to the area where enemies are concentrated and absorb Shinju from nearby enemies, right? So essentially what happens is he'll use the 0 zone and then he'll use Bleeding Messiah afterwards. And then combo those together with the HP recovery block and the swiftness decrease, the passive and the active skill. It's a very strong move. But that doesn't happen as much as you think. And also weak beam is exactly what it is. It's a pretty weak fucking beam. He's very strong against like support units or like units that don't have a lot of HP, but tanks, this is essentially useless. He'll just heal himself instead of doing the damage that he needs to. Or like the higher deficit it is, the less damage this does anyways. So this skill is very situational, and this character just kind of like plays very weird, right? So let's go back to the trials actually, and I'll show you what I'm trying to say. Obviously I'm not going to use him in a full purple team. I'll do that next, but I just put the Belda and the Anak combo just to keep it fair. I know that's not his optimal setup. I'll do that next, but just to see, so there's less units around. This is essentially what he'll do, right? So he'll do that and then use the ult afterwards. This time may work, but there's several times where he just ults first. But essentially that's how it's supposed to be, right? He'll use the skill and then he'll use the ult afterwards, and then they'll combo them together. They'll do a stupid amount of damage, right? I want to see if it shows how much. I don't think it does, but he does a lot. He does a lot of damage, bro. Trust me, he does a lot of damage, right? I'll use a purple team this time, a full purple team, and I'll show you what I mean by survivability. So I'll use my Helljo. I'll use Karaka up in here. I'll use White just so we can compare damages. I'll use Anna because Anna's great. And then I'll use Yura, right? So let's see the chaotic mess that is over here. In fact, let's just compare damages here. If I can, but yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Look at this. Look at this. Okay? It doesn't look like it, but very instant. I'll show you the who like how much damage everything did, but I can tell you right now, it was Heljo who just cleared the field, bro. it was Heljo, and this team obviously Hugo just killing it. This team is really good, bro. I love Hugo so much. Hugo is such a good unit. Like I said before, if you could choose between someone between Heljo or Hugo, summon for Hugo. Hugo's just a better unit overall. They will impact your team a little bit more. Think of Heljo like with the role of Doan from the blue team, where Doan does a stupid amount of damage, but like you don't really need Doan. But Doan is really good when you have Doan, right? But because she's limited to blue, you should only really use Doan if you have a good blue team to begin with. Okay, now look at this. Now look at this. Look at the damage comparison. Okay, 24,000 billion. Okay, and White has 3. Heljo did 8 times more damage than White. The damaging unit that people love to glaze. He did 8 times more damage, bro. He's so good on the purple team, but he dies very, very quickly. And this is with the Bergamo set, by the way. This is not with like a crate. This is with the Bergamo. Yeah, I can't speak. This is with that set. It's a good set for this unit specifically. And if you look at this, if you look at the damage that the Hugo did, pretty good too. But yeah, anyways, that's the video. I appreciate y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one, gang.